Welcome to FCLE Seminar, the Florida Civic Literacy Exam Podcast. I'm your host, Mercedes Musto. Today we're taking a look at landmark Supreme Court case Miranda versus Arizona 1966. This is all based on the guide put together by the Florida Department of Education. Hey, check out the links to that study stuff in the show notes. And you can subscribe at FCLE Seminar on Spotify or YouTube. Got it? All right, let's get started. Landmark Supreme Court Case Number 12, Miranda versus Arizona 1966. Case background. In this landmark Supreme Court case, the court made significant ruling that would forever change the landscape of police interrogations. This case centered around the Fifth Amendment's protection against self-incrimination and its application to these police interrogations. So consider this. This case consolidated 4 separate cases, each involving a defendant who confessed guilt after being subjected to various interrogation techniques without being informed of their Fifth Amendment rights. And one of these cases involved Ernesto Miranda, who was arrested and interrogated for kidnapping and rape. After 2 hours of questioning, Miranda confessed. However, the police had not informed him of his right to remain silent or his right to an attorney. So the question becomes, does the Fifth Amendment's protection against self-incrimination extend to police interrogations of the suspect? Something to think about. The court's decision. In a 5-4 decision, the Supreme Court ruled in favor of Miranda. What? Yeah, that's right. The majority opinion written by Chief Justice Earl Warren established that law enforcement officers must inform suspects of their Fifth Amendment rights, including the right to remain silent and the right to an attorney before any interrogation. And this has become known as the Miranda warning. There were some dissenting opinions, though. For example, Justice Clark, in his dissent, argued that the majority's decision created an overly strict interpretation of the Fifth Amendment, and that would hinder law enforcement's ability to do their job. Justice Harlan, in a separate dissent, argued that the Fifth Amendment does not prohibit all pressure on a suspect during interrogation. And Justice White, in a separate dissent, argued that the Fifth Amendment only protects against compelled self-incrimination. See, he believed that custodial interrogation was not inherently coercive and did not necessitate such a broad interpretation of the Fifth Amendment's protections. The constitutional principle? Hey, the principle here at play is the Fifth Amendment. The court reasoned that these Miranda warning safeguards were necessary to protect the Fifth Amendment privilege against self-incrimination. A suspect must be warned before questioning that, number 1, they have the right to remain silent. Number 2, anything they say can be used against them in court. Number 3, they have a right to an attorney. And number 4, if they cannot afford an attorney, one will be provided to them. Hashtag episode 22, hashtag Gideon. Did you hear that one? Yeah, pretty good. Only after these warnings are given can a suspect knowingly and intelligently waive their rights and agree to answer the questions, let's say. But any evidence obtained through interrogation without these warnings, that can't be used against the defendant at trial. That's my understanding, at least. Hey, pop quiz. This question is from the FCLE sample items. I've got that link to the PDF in the show notes. All right, sample question. A person is charged with felony breaking and entering. During the court proceedings, the defendant requested an attorney and was denied the right to counsel. Which Supreme Court case overturned the trial court's decision due to lack of counsel? Is it A, Miranda versus Arizona, episode 23, B, Plessy versus Ferguson, episode 5, C, McCulloch versus Maryland, episode 3, or D, Gideon versus Wainwright, episode 22? Well, hello, if you listen to episode 22, then you know that you can be sure the answer is Gideon versus Wainwright. Great. Mega pass. Let's review. Here are the key takeaways in landmark Supreme Court case Miranda versus Arizona. Fifth Amendment rights. The Fifth Amendment's protection against self-incrimination extends to police interrogations. Miranda warning. Law enforcement officers must inform suspects of their rights. These are the right to remain silent, the right to an attorney, and the right to have an attorney present during questioning. Number 3, the waiver of rights. A suspect can waive these rights, but only if the waiver is made knowingly and intelligently. Yeah, that's a lot to ask. I'm going to have to think about that. And the exclusionary rule. Remember this one from Mapp versus Ohio? Evidence obtained through interrogation without proper Miranda warnings is inadmissible in court. Okay, let's see here. This landmark Supreme Court case significantly impacted law enforcement practices, ensuring that individuals' constitutional rights are protected during police interrogations. Boom. You got it. Hey, thanks for listening. Join us again on FCLE Seminar, a Florida Civic Literacy podcast, so you can start studying for the test. The important thing is to start studying and study like a rock star. Like, subscribe, and leave your questions or comments for us at FCLE Seminar on YouTube or Spotify. This podcast is listener-supported. Contributions can be made via the listener support link on Spotify, or hey, you can buy me a coffee via the link in the show notes. This is your host, Mercedes Musto. Join me again on FCLE Seminar, a Florida Civic Literacy Exam podcast so you can pass the FCLE.